So we have another equation here, y equals 1/3 x plus 1. How do we know it's a straight line? The exponent on x and y is 1. Now the question says find 3 ordered pairs, which is 3 points on the straight line. And remember, we talked about this. We need a minimum of 2 points to graph a straight line. All we need is 2 points. We just find the third one just to make sure that they all line up, so that way there are no errors in calculations. Also, remember what we discussed last time. An x-intercept is where the graph of the line or any graph crosses the x-axis. And when it crosses the x-axis, the y is always 0. The y-intercept is where the graph crosses the y-axis. And when it crosses the y-axis, any point on the y-axis has the x-coordinate equals 0. Just remember this. Now we're going to find 3 points. Remember, we're going to find 3 easy points, so that way it's easy to calculate. The easiest that we can think of is by plugging in. Let me just erase this. We plug in x equals 0. That's easy because we don't have to pick up the calculator for that. So if I plug in x equals 0, y is 1/3 times 0 plus 1, and that's equal to 1. So what is the point that sits on this line? It's 0, 1. Remember, we talked about this. If the x coordinate is 0, it means it's sitting on the y-axis, so this is the y-intercept. Okay. Now, remember, we don't want to deal with fractions when it comes to graphing. It's hard enough to put the points, to plot the points when the coordinates are whole numbers, right? So we don't want fractions. So how do we avoid fractions? Just think about it. If I plugged in, let's say, a 2, I'm going to get 2/3 plus 1. Not a good idea. So what is it that I could plug in for x, so that way we get rid of the denominator? What if I plugged in a 3? So y equals 1/3 times 3 plus 1. The reason why 3 is convenient is because it cancels with the 3 in the denominator and you get y equals 1 plus 1. So if I plugged in an x equals 3, y would be 1/3 times 3 plus 1. That's convenient because we don't have to deal with fractions anymore. 3 over 3 is a 1, so it's 1 plus 1, which is a 2. So if I plug in a 3 for x, I get y equals 2. Another easy point I could plug in, think of multiples of 3. I could do -3. Let's just plug in a -3. It's easier than plugging in a 6. So we have y equals 1/3 times -3 plus 1. Another convenient point. The 3's cancel. I get a -1 times 1, which is -1 plus 1. That's equal to 0. So the point is -3, 0. Remember, we talked about this. On the x-axis, the y is always equal to 0, so this has to be the x-intercept of this straight line. Now we'll plot the points. Let's start with 0, 1. So when x is 0, y is +1. So this is a point. So when I say +1, you go up by 1. X is 0, so it's neither to the right nor to the left. So it is just sitting in the center, then you move up by 1. Next, we're going to plot the point 3, 2. The x is 3 and the y is 2. 1, 2, 3. X is 3, and then you go up by 2 because the y is 2. So let me erase this point. So I'm tracing the path. Let me use a lighter shade here. So to plot the point 3, 2, I go 3 to the right because that's my x coordinate, and 2 up, and that is the point 3, 2. Now I'm going to plot the point -3, 0. So how do we get -3, 0? 3 to the left, 1, 2, 3. So that's -3, 0. So it doesn't go up, it doesn't go down. So we have the 3 points. So the 3 points on the graph are -3, 0, we have 0, 1, and 3, 2. Now we join these points with a straight line. And that's the graph of the straight line. So what is the x-intercept? The x-intercept is where the graph crosses the x-axis, and it's -3, 0. The y is always 0, and the y-intercept is 0, 1. The x is always 0 on the y-axis. In this question, we'll graph the equation of the line by first finding the intercepts of the line. How do we know this is a line? Remember, the exponent on the x and y is 1. Now let's find the intercepts. Let's find the x-intercept. The x-intercept is a point on the x-axis where the graph crosses the x-axis. That's called the x-intercept of the graph. So if the x-intercept lies on the x-axis, there's one thing you can be sure of. The y-coordinate of any point lying on the x-axis is always 0. This x can be any number, but the y is fixed. The y is always equal to 0. So that is what will help us find the equation. That's what will help us find the intercept by solving the equation. We set y equals 0 because we are trying to find the x-intercept. We plug in the y equals 0. So 2x plus 4 times 0 equals 8. 2x is equal to 8. X is equal to 8 over 2. So you divide both sides by 2. So x is equal to 4. What does this mean? The graph crosses the x-axis at x equals 4. So what are the coordinates? When x is 4 on the x-axis, y is always equal to 0. So we have a point 1, 2, 3, 4. So we plot the point 4, 0. Now let's figure out the y-intercept. The y-intercept is the point where the graph crosses the y-axis. If it's crossing the y-axis, any point on the y-axis, we can be sure, looks like 0 and some number y. The one thing you can be sure of is that the x coordinate on the y-axis is always equal to 0. So this is how we're going to find the other point, which is the y-intercept, by plugging in x equals 0. So 2 times 0 plus 4y equals 8. So this is equal to 4y equals 8. Y is equal to 8 over 4 and y is equal to 2. So the graph crosses the y-axis at 2. And what is the point? X is 0, y is 2. X is always 0 on the y-axis. So the other point is 0, 2. So x is 0 and then we go up by 2 and this is the point 0, 2. We join these 2 points. Remember, we need a minimum of 2 points. We join these 2 points with a straight line, and that's the equation of the line 2x plus 4y equals 8.